decide what you want.
Rhaenyra will do what she has to do. And what she has to do will be dire.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. HBO released the first House of the Dragon Season 3 trailer, so we'll break it all down. There's a bunch of new scenes here, so if you're brand new to the channel, I'll be doing videos for all the episodes just like previous seasons, and like Night of the Seven Kingdoms episodes, which we'll be getting in January. Apparently, Matt Smith was claiming that episodes would drop in August. It might be a little bit before that, so just expect them to come at some point during the summer. In related Game of Thrones news, Jason Momoa, Khal Drogo himself, also just brought himself back from the DCEU into the DCU as Lobo in the new Supergirl trailer, which Millie Alcock, young version of Rhaenyra, is the new DCU Supergirl. Ramin Djawadi, who did the music for Game of Thrones, and they reused that same music for the intro for House of the Dragon, also did the music for Supergirl, so there is just a lot of Game of Thrones stuff happening in the DCU right now. I just did a big trailer video for that, so I'll link it below in the description. Today is like Trailer Fest. But we are eating good. We have 2 Game of Thrones series airing episodes in the same year. Finally, it took us this long to get there. Just starting at the beginning of the brand new footage and working our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs and WTF moments. So they mix voiceover of Corlys Velaryon talking to Rhaenyra in a completely different scene, with a scene of Alysanne going to see Aemond while he's sitting on the Iron Throne. It seems like at the very beginning of episode 1, like very early part of the season. And I think the idea is they want to juxtapose the idea at the beginning of Season 2 is that Corlys is trying to explain to Rhaenyra, like, look, this is what we have to do to take King's Landing if you want to take the Iron Throne. Currently, Aemond is there, and they have to wait for him to leave to go to Harrenhal. There are a couple of scenes here that definitely seem like they're happening from later in the season, but I think for the most part, the beginning of the trailer here is meant to take place at the very beginning of the season. Based on the vibe of the scene with Corlys, I think that it's happening before the Battle of the Gullet, which is meant to be Episode 1, Episode 2 stuff, so like this is very beginning of the season. There are going to be a lot of really big WTF events that seem like they happen back-to-back or at the same time at the beginning of the season. You also notice that Alysanne is not wearing green anymore. She's wearing blue like she was at the end of Season 2, which is meant to give you more vibes of the clothes that she wore before she started hating Rhaenyra. There are going to be a lot of scenes like this during Season 3 with the two of them back in the Red Keep together, because Rhaenyra is going to be ruling in the Red Keep for most of the season, and Alysanne is going to be there as well, so of course they're going to be having a bunch of scenes together. So it's meant to give you echoes of their time together when they were good friends growing up in the Red Keep.
Put over the shirt.
Then this scene of Corlys, not from his voiceover, a completely separate scene in the middle of a battle, is from the Battle of the Gullet. Can't really talk too much about this because there's a lot of big spoilery things that happen, a lot of big deaths that wind up happening during this, right at the beginning of the season. But remember, they tease at the end of Season 2 with the Triarchy's fleet on their way to intercept Corlys' fleet, which was blockading King's Landing. There's a real quick scene of the Winter Wolves, the Stark army, in the middle of a battle. This could be any one of a number of battles that happen during this part of the timeline in the Dance of the Dragons. They might compress a couple battles and just combine a couple big ones. Then I think this scene of them battle planning with the figures in the middle of the battlefield here is actually from the first battle of Tumbleton. Big WTF battle that will happen at the end of season. Lots of betrayals, lots of big deaths happening, so we can't talk too much about that either without getting too spoilery. But the big idea here is that he puts down a figurine representing multiple dragons at this battle. Then there's a scene of Alysanne talking to someone. They make it seem like she's talking to Aemond from the beginning of the season, but that could be a completely separate scene. She tells someone else Rhaenyra will do what she has to do, which is the idea that this is going to be a very bloody war, very Pyrrhic victory for either side who comes out on top at the end of Season 3. But I think the idea is they wanted to feel like a bigger victory this season for the Greens at the end of the season, whereas the end of Season 2 made it feel like a bigger victory for the Blacks, especially at the beginning of Season 3 when she retakes the Iron Throne. Part of the idea is they wanted to feel like anybody could wind up winning this, and at least at the beginning of Season 3, it heavily favors the Blacks because they have so many more dragons than the Greens, but things change, alliances change, so this is why by the end of Season 3 they want to make it seem like the Greens actually have a chance of coming out on top. You have to remember though, George R. R. Martin has written all this history, so like we already know who ultimately winds up winning this. So if you do want to go out and read that, you can go read that right now. Joffrey himself kind of spoils the outcome of all this during the original Game of Thrones series too, when he's talking to other characters about history in the past. This actual scene of Aemond with Alysanne seems like it's at the very beginning of the season because I don't think they're going to be together for the later part of the season. This is probably before he goes to Harrenhal on Vhagar. All before Rhaenyra winds up taking the Iron Throne, taking the Red Keep with Daemon's help. And part of the idea here is that she's actually kind of betraying Aemond because she told Rhaenyra when the best time to attack was. Like, he'll be gone, come take it, we'll give it to you. You could just waltz right in and sit on the Iron Throne, it will be yours. So you have to remember that she's actually betraying the Greens, she's betraying her son in all this. All because she wants to see an end to the war itself, just because so many people are dying on both sides.
And you fly to the Red Keep in 3 days' time and you take your throne.
There's a brief scene of Ormund Hightower in front of the Green Army, and it seems like they're about to fight in the first battle of Tumbleton. I think this is meant to be like one of the real big battles of the season. He's the oldest son of Hobart Hightower, who is the Lord of Oldtown. So I think the idea is that he's getting ready to fight Daemon. Technically, he is Daemon's nephew. There's another scene of the Winter Wolves beating their drums, about to march into actual battle. I think this might be happening at a separate battle. I don't know if this is meant to be from the first battle of Tumbleton. Some of these battle scenes are from different battles, not the exact same battle. Not totally sure who this skull in the fire is, though. You can let me know who you think is burning here. Then we get another scene from the Battle of the Gullet on one of Corlys' ships. Notice all the fire behind them. It's meant to be the biggest, bloodiest sea battle in the history of Westeros, and the biggest one that HBO has ever tried to do. If you remember the Battle of Blackwater during the original series, just imagine that on steroids. Then you notice a bunch of guards pulling their swords in the Iron Throne room. I think these are meant to be Rhaenyra's guard because they are wearing black, as in the blacks. Otherwise, they'd be wearing green for the greens. My assumption is they might wind up forming Rhaenyra's new Kingsguard that she forms once she actually sits the Iron Throne. There are a couple of things that she has to do, like a couple of formalities once she actually takes the Iron Throne. Like first there's sitting on it and being queen. Then there's all the actual busy work of a sitting queen and the things that you would normally do, like getting rid of all the greens in the palace. Got to switch everybody out for all the loyal guards that she wants. So this actually lines up with some images that we saw behind the scenes when they were filming season 2, and the actress who plays Rhaenyra, Emma D'Arcy, who said one of the things that she wanted to do that they had not done yet as of season 2 was Rhaenyra using a sword. My assumption based on the garb she's wearing, like it's a more battle-like garb, this actually might be happening during the sack of King's Landing at the very beginning of the season as she's ready to actually she's in the process of taking King's Landing from the Greens. After Aemond has taken Vhagar and headed to Harrenhal thinking that he's going to find Daemon there, but finding nobody at the actual castle because Daemon has already left to come back to King's Landing to help Rhaenyra take King's Landing, and the rest of the army has gone on to other places to fight the Greens.
Yoink! 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 Yoink!
Yoink!
Ryan Condal himself also implied that one of Rhaenyra's big pitfalls this season, one of the things that will cause her downfall, is that she also begins to believe too much in the prophecy of the Long Night, the White Walkers, and the prince who was promised. This is actually meant to be the whole basis for their conflict over the Iron Throne, because she believes that she is the person, the prince who was promised to stop the Long Night and the White Walkers that are coming, because at this point in history, nobody knows when that's going to happen, the next Long Night, so they all think that it's right around the corner, and she thinks that she is who Jon Snow eventually winds up being. So just imagine how her being so prophecy drunk this season is going to cause her to act, and how that will ultimately lead to her downfall. One of the big running themes during the original Game of Thrones series is that people misinterpreting prophecy was a very regular thing, and it ultimately leading to their own downfall. This is a big George R. R. Martin thing. Like, yes, prophecy is real, visions are real, but people always misinterpret it, and it always goes badly for them. Just ask Stannis. Then there's another new scene of Daemon on a battlefield. I'm assuming this is actually the scene of Daemon that they released officially with him in his armor on the first battle of Tumbleton. Like they're hitting the field here. Notice that you actually see Oscar Tully behind him looking like he is not built for this. Like, this is too crazy. What am I doing here? This is going to be nuts. This is actually meant to be the final big battle of the season. Like, it'll be episode 7, and then episode 8 will be the aftermath of that. In the same Game of Thrones tradition where, like, their final big WTF battle is the penultimate episode, then they always use the final episode, whatever that winds up being, for the aftermath. The second new scene they release is of Rhaenyra holding Viserys' crown, her father. Technically, it's Jaehaerys' crown that just passed along to her eventually. If you couldn't tell, she's in the king's chambers, her father's old room, which Aegon recently vacated, where Viserys showed her the prophecy etched into the Valyrian dagger with fire. So it's meant to be kind of a full circle moment, like she's back here in the same place, thinking about the prophecy, thinking about her father, thinking about the crown, and notice what she's wearing too. There's a bit of a fit check here too. This is the outfit that she's going to be wearing as the queen. Little more form-fitting, you also know the dragon scale pattern across her shoulders, the upper part of her body too, sort of like she's wearing light dragon armor, a more armor-ish look to her outfit. There's a whole lot of stuff going on during this new footage, so if there's any Easter eggs or references that you spotted that I didn't talk about in this video or my previous videos, just write them in the comments below. HBO is also supposed to be releasing a poster for Season 3. It might not be out by the time I posted this video. They're also supposed to be releasing new Night of the Seven Kingdoms footage. I'll try to do a video for that by Saturday morning. They just decided to drop like 4 different trailers at the same time, so I'm also right in the middle of doing a new video for the Lanterns Green Lantern HBO series that's completely separate, but be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that stuff. When it comes to Night of the Seven Kingdoms, because there's such little material, I'm not expecting quite as many trailers as they do for normal House of the Dragon seasons or the original Game of Thrones series, because if you really think about it, Night of the Seven Kingdoms almost could have been condensed into a long 2.5 to 3 hour movie. You can literally go out and read The Hedge Knight, which is what they're doing for Season 1, in a couple hours. Like, that's how quickly you can blow through the entirety of the story for Season 1. Click here and here for both of those new videos. I'll update the links as soon as I finish posting those. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.